In today's Fashion Forward, we are celebrating a big birthday. And no, it's actually not Heather's. It's for her book, How to Date Your Wardrobe turns 1 this week. Heather is here to talk about her fashion passion project. First of all, Heather, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's been such a fun week, really celebrating the book and it being out for 1 whole year, which feels like just yesterday.
It's wild. So let's actually go back to the beginning here, Heather. What was the catalyst that made you write a book that was specifically like this? And what was your motive for your messaging?
Well, a big thing for me is full inclusivity when it comes to fashion. So on the other end, I'd always kind of been writing, doing narrative work, specifically about relationships and kind of talking about my own stories and encounters. And I never really saw that kind of crossing over with the fashion writing. They would seem like two very different things. And then one day I had this realization that if I didn't publish something before I was 50, and I'm talking about like an article, I'm not talking about a book or anything, I'm just talking about like a straight up article in a magazine, I would be really bummed out. And so suddenly I started to see that there was a space where I actually am an expert in more than just my own dating life, and that is as a stylist. So what I did was bring together those two kind of passions and loves and really wanted to create something where people can kind of engage with it from so many different spaces, whether they have experience with fashion or not.
So part of this is style advice, as you mentioned, but that's only really one part of the book. Can you talk about the other huge part, which is the part that all of us really love, that you do really well on this show, is how the clothes make you feel?
I think how the clothes make you feel is the most important part of anything. And I think we really have to look at our bodies and talk about what our insecurities are, what we love about our stuff, and also the things that we wish were different and how we can kind of re-engage with that from a different perspective. So when I created this book, what I wanted to do was offer people the opportunity to look at things and just kind of change their point of view a little bit. Just like Marie Kondo does in The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, where we've been cleaning our whole lives, but what she asks us to do is just think about cleaning a little differently. And so instead of telling people what skirt they should or shouldn't wear, what I wanted to do was give them the tools and the resources to think about how they engage with fashion differently. Again, whether they have experience with fashion, no experience, or just want to re-engage with it again from a love that they had at a young age.
I mean, this book has affected my life. I clean out my closet pretty often now. When I immediately don't feel good in something, there is a pile for it, because we just accumulate so much stuff when it's a sale or when it's this or that, and then it's stuff that you don't really genuinely love. So now you have me thinking, what's the point?
It's true. And you really do have to ask yourself that question, because what is the point of your style journey? What do you think is important to highlight? What do you think is important to kind of subtract from? You know, I always kind of talk about this with my clients and friends, but I am 6 feet tall. You cannot tell as I stand here sitting on this chair. But at a 6 feet tall woman, you know, there's a lot of sort of little tips and tricks I've had to kind of take from my own life, put into my styling practice, and then also kind of fold into the book. An example being that most shirts, they do not come down to my wrists. Sleeves are just not long enough or made for a 6 foot tall woman. So I actually intentionally push up the sleeves of almost every shirt that I'm in, just so you can't tell, because intentionality is everything.
Yeah, and you're talking about things that happen to everyday people. You've had a very lucrative career in the fashion industry in a lot of aspects. What did you gather from that high-end stuff to give us advice for everyday person, such a practical guide?
Well, I think what's really important and where I've been super lucky is that I've had the opportunity to work on a lot of large cast shoots that actually feature real people. And so all these different body types, all these different sort of, you know, small, tall, short, big, whatever, you know, however we want to categorize someone, which frankly, we never should. But however we want to kind of look at it, I know I love that drawing, which is like everyone is an 8 because size is not real. But ultimately, it's those experiences working with real people that have really given me that insight into how to speak with them, and also what are the things that really attract people and also kind of keep them afraid of the industry. You know, I think fashion can be viewed as a very exclusive space. And so something that I really wanted to do was offer people a passport into that space to say, hey, you're allowed to be here, because I know personally for so many years, I didn't think I was allowed to be here. And the answer to that question is absolutely I am. And so are you.
So if someone was, you know, skimming through the book in a bookstore, looking through it, what's something, a chapter or something, a piece of advice that's going to stop them in their tracks and make them want to read that?
Well, I actually think, you know, my very favorite chapter is the titular, How to Date Your Wardrobe. You know, there is this kind of idea of like going through each piece, having a conversation with it. But what I actually say in that chapter is date your wardrobe like you date a person. And I know for me, when it came down to dating, for a long time, I let other people manipulate the way that I saw myself. When it came down to it, when I was able to actually say, this is what I want, and you don't fit that criteria, I was really able to kind of move myself forward to actually meeting someone who I really want to be with. So something that I like to say, and that I think is really important from the book, is say yes to nothing. Say no to everything until there's something worth saying yes to.
All right, Heather, thank you so much. We love having you here on Current. So much insight every single week. Tell people right now that where they can pick up the book.
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it from your local bookstore. It's Target, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold.
All right, congratulations, Heather. We'll see you again next week. All right, in the meantime, make sure you're following her on Instagram at Heather Neuberger.